Welcome to Straight Talk. I'm your host, Big Randy Kearse. Today, my guest is Corey Parks. Corey Parks is the author of a book called Crime and Punishment. And this pretty much chronicles his story from a young man to manhood and all of the journey in between. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Corey Parks. Corey, welcome to Straight Talk.
Thank you, Randy. Pleasure to be here.
How's everything going, man?
Everything's great.
Listen, man, I really appreciate you being on my show. And again, when I first met you, I was very impressed by you. What impressed me the most about you was how articulate you was. And how articulate you was, but knowing where you came from, I was like, wow, I was impressed. Because a lot of people can't make that transition the way you have. I want you to tell people a little bit about your story. And I want you to start from the beginning when you was growing up and some of the trials, tribulations that you've been through and how they have actually molded you to be the person that you are today.
Well, to take it back a little bit, at a young age, around 13, I got involved with the criminal justice system. I began to go to youth detention centers like Spofford, Division for Youth, and from that point, I got involved with gangs.
Well, let's go back and leave even a little further than that. How was your childhood? How did you grow up?
Okay, well, my child was kind of rough. I grew up in a household with a single-parent mother. She was addicted to crack cocaine at the time, unfortunately. And from that, I began to develop anger problems, where I would go to school in third grade and start lashing out, fighting, becoming a bully, because I didn't know how to process my very own emotions. I was never taught that way. So home life was, me basically seeing my mother, getting high, and me acting out on that wherever I could.
So basically you came from what they call a dysfunctional household.
Yes.
And that pretty much led you down the road of making poor choices and bad decisions?
It definitely set the stage. I would say it set the stage just like a lot of other African Americans and Latinos who are faced with those same choices. Not to say that everyone who's faced with that make that decision, but a highly percentage of young people or African Americans or Latinos become that way and eventually go to jail or die at a young age.
How old was you when you first started getting into like real trouble where you came in contact with the police and stuff like that?
Around 12. 12 years old, 12, 13. I got arrested for robbing a kid for a bus pass. Just because I thought I could do it. I had my own bus pass, but I wanted to show my friends at the time, listen, I'm tough and and basically I'm gonna set the stage for being violent. And I got arrested where I served 18 months in Division for Youth.
For a bus pass?
Just for a bus pass. It was
bus pass?
It was still robbery.
Wow. At 12 years old, you went to jail for 18 months for a bus pass.
Yeah, that was still robbery.
So at that point, do you feel that you was overly punished for that crime? I mean, come on, it's just a bus pass. I mean, even though it was wrong, it was just a bus pass. And a lot of times, especially when it comes to the criminal justice system, once they get you in there, they want to keep you in there. So do you think that is what a part of the problem was?
I think that's definitely part of the problem. Not to rectify what I did or say that it was a justifiable means.
I mean, but 18 months for a bus pass, come on.
It was a little bit extreme, and also while I was in it, as I reflect back, I became more angry based on that, and the fact that my mother thought I was more safer in there. So I rebelled more. I became more angry. It was like baby jail. It was a training camp for the big house, so to speak.
So while you was in there, pretty much you was preparing yourself what would become pretty much your lifestyle when you got out.
Absolutely, I would be fighting the other people from other boroughs. It would be Brooklyn against Queens or Brooklyn against Harlem, or the Bronx with Harlem against Queens or Brooklyn.
Right.
It was all that nonsense at that point. Where I'd endured. And
how old are you?
Actually, I'm be 33 next month.
So your first contact with the criminal justice system was at 12 years old?
Yes.
And you're 33 now?
Yes.
Hold on, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about more of your journey, and we're going to get into not only what you've been through, but how you've made this miraculous transition that I'm very excited to tell the people about, and I really, really want people to know your story, man.
Thank you,
Give us a second. We'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Straight Talk with Big Randy Kearse. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Straight Talk. I'm your host, Big Randy Kearse. We've been talking to Corey Parks about his tremendous journey and some of the things that he's been through that has taken him on this fantastic journey from turning a negative into a positive. So before we went to the break, you was talking about the fact that you became even more hardened at a young age when you was going through the system. What were some of the things that you've seen in that young age, in that impressionable time of your life, that kind of hardened you to make you come out and actually be worse?
Well, while I was in DFY, Division for Youth, the fighting continued, and also some staff members, they were promoted. They were whoever won the fight, they would be rewarded with food, or or candy bars, whatever the case may be. Oh,
so basically, you're saying some of the staff that worked for the Division of Youth promoted the violence and the confrontations that some of you guys were going through for their actual recreation.
Absolutely.
People don't know that. People think that that's something that you see on TV, but that actually happens. And there was an article actually recently that came out in how correction officers in a state prison would pit inmate against inmate in order to get those little rewards, extra food or extra phone calls, stuff like that. And talk about that, man.
Well, really, like, as I see it now, because like I said, when I came out, I made that transition into going into the big house as well. So now that I have a clear concept of what's going on, it's more about job security. If I can get you to fight and cut each other and stab each other, then it's more likely that you're going to get rearrested and get a longer sentence. So it's more about job security, and it's just like I'm a whisper. It's like quote unquote religious people when they say the devil whisper in their ear to make them do something. It's the same type of mentality. When you're inside the penal system, that listen, I want to make sure that I promote what you're used to doing.
So you get out after 18 months for the bus pass incident. What do you do?
When I get out, first thing I do, I walk down the street. I was on the east side at the time, 117th Street and Lexington Avenue, and I seen some old friends, that I grew up with, and they out there getting money now. They selling crack cocaine, and they got the fly stuff on.
So you jump right up in there.
I jump right into that whole circle.
Right, all right.
And I began to sell drugs.
So do you return home? Has your whole life changed? Has it gotten worse since then? How was that structure coming out?
At this point, my mom was just sort of weaning off the crack cocaine. But like I said, all my life I was faced with that. So just because she was not physically using the drugs, the mentality still was there. And she was very much on her own transition.
Right.
So
she couldn't really help you.
Right, we still had life.
Because, you know what I'm saying, because she was going through her own little changes and stuff like that. So you were still basically a young man still trying to find his way and doing the wrong thing.
Exactly.
Let's fast forward a little bit. You did 15 years in prison.
Yes.
Why did you go to prison for 15 years?
Sadly to say, one of my cases, I walked up to a vehicle and shot someone. I shot the vehicle 17 times with the intent of killing everyone in the car. And I almost took someone's life. So I had 19 counts of attempted murder. I also had a gang assault. And later I was charged with a conspiracy to distribute narcotic drugs in the neighborhood. And that was basically my sentence for my crimes.
You know what's crazy? When you look back at that lifestyle that we have lived and some of the things that we've done and how we allowed ourselves to fall victim to that mentality that we would actually take a life or put our life in jeopardy to make money, and how so destructive that mentality is. And you're not alone, because I was there too. You know what I'm saying? Wow. So I understand. That's why when I met you and I seen like a part of myself in you, and that journey and that transition and that addiction that we were a part of, because the streets is an addiction. That mentality is addiction, and how you broke that addiction was very impressive, and that's why I'm very impressed with you. But talk about some of the things that that journey you went on while you was incarcerated, and some of the things that you did to beat that addiction.
Well, when I first went to prison, the big house on Rikers Island, and then eventually to various upstate prisons, I still was gangbanging. I was Bloods. I was one of the first Bloods that came to, that when it started in the early 1993, 1994.
Hold on, let me stop you there. How did you become a gang member?
Actually, I was on the streets. My same circle of friends that was selling drugs was Bloods. It was around 1995. And I had to be violent. I had to go out there and cut somebody to become a part of the gang and show that I could
Why did you feel that you needed to be a part of this gang?
Because...
And the reason why I'm asking you that, because I want young people and I want parents to be able to understand and recognize some of the things that young people go through and why they gravitate towards that lifestyle. So what was it for you? How did you wind up getting caught up in that?
Well, I needed to fill a void. At home, it was empty. I felt like I wasn't getting attention, I wasn't accepted. And the gang served as that premise for me. It served as that gate opener for me to feel like, listen, I'm accepted. And I got people around with me that if something happened, they're going to be there. So that was my main initiative, to become a part of the Bloods and to do anything possible to maintain that status at that point. Okay.
And once you became part of the gang, there was things that you had to do in order to keep that reputation up. So basically, I never was in a gang, you know what I'm saying, but I know cats that was in a gang. And from the lifestyle that I used to live, it's like we create this persona, we create this this character, and we gotta keep it going. We gotta make sure that we do whatever it takes to keep that persona going, even if it means doing things that we might regret in the long run.
Well, you ever look at the movie Juice, Bishop, the character Bishop, Tupac took that character and put it in the rap industry. He took that, because that character got him noticed. It's the same way for a lot of us. I took on the name and character C Gutter. And I had to reflect everything that the Gutter represented. You know, being violent, being tough, getting money, you know, gorgeous gangster, whatever the case may be. And I took on that image, and I had to feed that image at all costs.
But sitting here, talking to you, having discussions with you in the past, I would never even expect or even imagine you being that kind of person without you telling me. And that's within itself is a miraculous thing, because so many people can't make that break away from who they used to be to who they are now. You know what I mean?
Well, Randy, just real quick, most gang bangers or gang members, before they become that, they was a good person. They was a good person.
No, you're right.
So I had to make that transition from that image, who I thought I was, back into the person that I was really raised to be.
Let's start right there. We're going to be right back. Yo, listen, we talking to Corey Parks, the author of Crime and Punishment. He has a wonderful story from, went from bad to good. And I mean, I'm just, like I said, I'm very blown away by his story, because we have a lot in common. How he took a negative situation and he turned it into a positive opportunity. This is your host, Big Randy Kearse. You're watching Straight Talk. We'll be right back.